Okay, so we're getting some people logging in. I think it's right about time to get started. And thank you all for joining. Welcome to the GreenNode and VAST webinar, Fostering AI Innovation in APAC. We're excited to have you join us today to learn more about this joint partnership between VAST and GreenNode and how some of the businesses we work with are able to rapidly innovate and build impactful solutions in their AI journey. I'm Jeffrey. I lead the AI go-to-market for VAST Data in APAC, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. I'm just going to stop the screen share for our guest to introduce himself. So, Tong, give us a quick hello and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everyone. So it's Tung here. I'm in charge of the GreenNode business. So this is the newly created business from VNG Digital Business, where we focus on B2B solutions, serving the regional enterprises and startup. Yeah.
Thank you.
Back to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Tong. So just a quick glance at the attendee list. We have some participants from AI cloud service providers, enterprises, and operators of AI cloud infrastructure. And regardless of your background, we hope you will gain valuable knowledge and insights that you can apply in your work. Over the next 40 minutes, we'll take a more intimate glimpse into GreenNode's business, learning how they have developed products and services that have enabled their tenants to innovate more quickly. And in addition, GreenNode will share some perspectives when choosing a data platform that is reliable, secure, and one that delivers the optimal performance across the entirety of an AI data pipeline. In the Q&A section of your Zoom client, do submit questions as they come to your mind, or if you hear something you'd like more information about. We will look to address them toward the end of the session. And so a quick introduction about VAST. We were founded in 2016 and has become one of the fastest growing infrastructure companies in history. We work with an ecosystem of hyperscalers, OEMs, and of course, Nvidia, who has since become an investor and part owner of the company. VAST has over 800 employees worldwide, half of which are developers. So we put a lot of time and effort into building products that delight our customers. We're laser focused on serving the most data-intensive partners and customers who buy big and buy often. Some of these customers are splashed at the bottom of the screen and represent some of the largest companies who have put their trust in VAST. Early this year, VAST has launched our APAC operations, and we look forward to adding more and more regional logos, hopefully yours, and partnering with you. We consider the VAST data platform to be the first truly distributed system built for the AI era. The foundation was set years ago when we released the VAST Data Store, an unstructured storage system that democratized access to Flash at a viable price point. We completely eliminate storage tiers in the data center and have built native multi-protocol access like high-performance NFS, S3, GPU Direct, without the need for managing additional gateways. We have since added additional functionalities such as a tabular data format, accessible with Kafka, Spark, and Trino queries. In addition, we've built a data engine that is able to stream events and take actions based on specific data patterns. The data engine functions can allow you to set triggers and functions within an AI pipeline, so businesses can compute, train, and retrain automatically with minimal human intervention. All of these data services are underpinned by the VAST data space, where all VAST clusters share a common metadata layer within a single namespace. This means that the underlying data can span across multiple locations, whether it resides in a hyperscaler, on-premise, or a specialized AI cloud like GreenNode. Users are now able to reduce or eliminate unnecessary data movement, saving time, GPU resources, and keeping their AI data compliant depending on the geography. When we bring these pieces together, we deliver a purpose-built AI data platform that can satisfy a diverse set of storage and data management challenges at a scale and cost that has historically been unachievable. So that just about wrap up initial introductions about VAST. I'll now turn the spotlight to Tung.
Hey Jeff, sorry, can you reshare the screen again? I didn't see the slide. All right.
Are you able to see?
Is the started screen? Okay, I can see now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Hi everyone. So I'm in charge of the product management and also the business development for GreenNode. So back in September last year, we started the conversation with Nvidia, and essentially GreenNode is one of the new Nvidia cloud partner in APAC regions, and we partnering with VAST in order to provide the GPU cloud infrastructure, including the high performance storage, to the enterprises in APAC region. Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who don't know about us yet, so that's very quick introduction. So VNG, we started like 20 years ago, and starting with games publishing. We are one of the leading game publishing and have the offices in 11 market now, mainly in Southeast Asia and China. So that's number one BU for us. Number two is the messaging, where we have the number one messaging platform in Vietnam. Third is for e-wallets. For this VNG digital visit, we mainly focus on B2B solution, and in that you see three different product portfolio here. So next slide, Jeff, please, so that I can share a little bit in more detail. So VNG, essentially, we are the product company, and the for the B2B solution, you see that the first portfolio is mainly traditional cloud. The second one is more focused on AI, ML, especially Gen AI recently. So as a Nvidia cloud partner, we have 1,000 H100 GPU up and running right now in Bangkok, Thailand, and mainly serving US, Middle East, and some of the APAC enterprises. So last but not least, the third portfolio is security, where we serve a regional Web3 clients like BNB, Binance, Polygon, Remix, Aptos, where we provide the security audits for them. So that the three product portfolio inside the digital business that we have.
Yeah.
Now,
I
yeah.
wanted to ask, and this just came up, right? So
Mm.
I think obviously VNG is not new to operating a cloud environment. And I think you pretty much have your pick of vendors and partners to work with. So when you were building up this GreenNode, how did you actually come to know us? Because we just started our operation in APAC very early this year, and just wanted to get your point of view on how the initial engagements were like.
Yeah, sure, Jeff. So when we started building this GPU cloud from scratch, right, we need to think about compute, network, and storage, especially storage. So for GPU cloud, typically what we see the use case is for foundational model training or fine tuning. So that's where we started exploring several options. So VAST becomes our one of our first reach out because of the reference on in the industry in different market, especially the mature market like the US. So that's number one from the product point of view. Number two is from I would say the product culture or the engineering culture pretty much aligned with VNG. So that's why we think that VAST is the partner of choice for us for the storage. So not necessarily, I don't even mention about all of the product feature yet, right? That's some of the key technical, for example, VLAN tagging, multi-tenancy, zero trust, multiple protocol support. So that's some of the key areas that we're looking at. Yeah.
So, Tung, I was just looking at your employee breakdown. It seems that the number of engineers and developers in terms of ratio is very similar to VAST, right? We keep a very lean sales team, but we invest more of our resources to get developers who actually help us build a more viable product that help our customers.
Yes, that's right. So as a product company, be it games or or messaging or payment or now B2B. So we invested heavily in R&D engineer, and you can see that even for AI lab now we have like 50 staff. And it's growing. So we not only just provide like bare metal GPU, which is high demand now, we also look at the long term, and we want to be a trusted partner with the enterprises in the region. So along the adoption journey, for Gen AI, right? So that's why we invested heavily in the AI engineer as well. So one of the things we do is to have the Vietnamese large language model. We fine tuning that, and eventually we're gonna use that for our Gen AI chatbot. So one of the critical applications that we see a lot of demand from our existing customer base. So we already serving like thousands of enterprises in Vietnam and the regions. So we invest heavily in engineer and R&D. So I think that's pretty much aligned with VAST. So when we work with VAST, one of the things that we very very honored and also thanks for that is VAST supplying all of the lead engineer, solution architect, and have multiple round lead person, not just one or two with us, and we even discuss about the future roadmap, right? How we can develop the product together in order to satisfy the requirement from our prospect and clients.
Thank you for the sharing too.
As you may know that one of the key ingredients to build the GPU clouds is actually data center, right? So traditional data center they only have 6 or 10 kilowatt per rack, but now for this GPU is contribute a lot of power and cooling as well. So in Vietnam we have the JV with STT for data center business. Now for this GPU business of GreenNode, our first cluster we use the data center in Bangkok from STT. So with a variety of international standard, and they have the facility able to accommodate GPU. So that's really key, and it's helped our time to market as well. Back then, there's no data center at all across Southeast Asia that able to accommodate this.
And Tung, I think in our part of the region, we see the rise in specialized AI clouds, right? I think some of them come from different backgrounds, from consultancy, systems integration, some in real estate. So just wanted to get your color on how you see yourself differentiating compared to some of the AI clouds, because different people have different skill sets. And if we look at just only bare metal as a GPU offering, across the world we have seen prices eventually, I think, settling into a more reasonable price point. So just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Sure. So I'm gonna touch about 3 different levels. Number 1 is from company level, the vision level. Number 2 is about people level, and number 3 is more about the product level, right? So from the company level, one of our models so far is embracing challenges. So we also working at a startup even day 1 now. So we want to be the trusted partner and going along with the enterprise or the startup or clients in the regions along the Gen AI journey. So if we look at this, the inflection point in the industry is number 4, right? Number 1 is internet, number 2 is mobile, number 3 is cloud, and number 4 is this Gen AI. So VNG we also evolving across those 4 inflection point industry trend, and we want to be the trusted partner. So embracing the challenge together. So that's from the company level. Now from the people level, as we already have the experience serving like thousands of enterprise clients, not just in Vietnam, but also in the region and globally, we believe that we able to serve the enterprise in APAC region across this journey. So number 3 is more about products, as you mentioned. We not only stop that the bare metal, but we also build the platform and eventually the software layer, like Gen AI, chatbot, OCR, stable diffusion, to be able to serve some of the key requirements that we see in the region. Okay, I think there's a question from the attendees: how GreenNode support data ingestion from outside to your storage, especially large data set? Okay, that's great. So let me address that. So for GPU cloud, we have the internet connectivity as the default option. We also work with big enterprise for like dedicated, bandwidth. Could be point to point, could be, DIA. So right now our DC able to support 20 gigabit per second. That's the bandwidth. Now, if you need more than that, then we can also work with ISP and provider like Zelator, Equinix to have the more dedicated, bandwidth for you. Now, what we see from our current clients is that it really depends on them. Right? If they do the fine tuning, what we see they transfer like few terabyte data set to us, and the internet is good enough. Like this, 100 megabit per second or 200 megabit per second. That's good enough. Now, for big enterprise, they're gonna use the dedicated point to point for the initial transfer. So that's the two mode or two options that we see right now. And feel free to reach out to us after the event for further discussion on that. So I hope that addressed the question. Yeah, so I think, Jeff, we can move on to the next slide unless you have any other question from the attendee there. Yeah, so this is on the right. This is the AI platform, right? We not only stop at the bare metal, right? Even though bare metal is now is a huge demand, right? So this is the platform where AI engineer or researcher, they can go to our Excel suite portal like this. They can do notebook instant from there, and this is the interface for model training, where we take care of the underlying GPU management and container management, and the user doesn't care about the outcome, right? They submit the job, they get back the outcome, and then they can move on for online prediction or inference there. So on the lab, it does some of the stack that we have, starting from the bare metal with the Nvidia GPU, connected with non-blocking InfiniBand network, and of course VAST Data as a backend storage, right? So AI Lab, our AI Lab team also do the Vietnamese LM as I mentioned before, and if last but not least, EV AI as a service as I mentioned. So stable diffusion, all of our game studio now within VNG, we use this fine-tune stable diffusion that do by GreenNode team. OCR, we have both on-prem and SaaS model. So we providing to a few banks in Vietnam right now, and helping them to minimize the time processing thousands of documentation. It could be contract, it could be loan. So that's what we do full stack, and broadly not just AI but also security and infrastructure. We hope to be your trusted partner in the enterprise Gen AI journey. So this is in the middle is some of the use cases that I just mentioned, especially the OCR, but also we have the other, more traditional AI application, for example, KYC and face authentication, which is a big things in Vietnam right now. Because of the state banks, they mandate that starting from the 1st of July, every transaction that above like $500, you need to do face authentication coupled with NFC with your ID. So that's also one of our solutions right now, providing to not only government but also but variety of banks and financial institutions in Vietnam, and hope to have the chance to work with you on that as well. Jeff, can you move to the next one, please? Yeah, this is the some of the principle where we develop the AI application. So we care about all of the international standards for data security, like PCI DNS for BFSI, ISO, and we have the API, RESTful API integration. For security, we have the mobile app security where we wrap around your mobile app and it's run natively. You don't need to have any agent. So that's one of the key requirement in the region right now that we see a lot of the attack. Now the attack on the client side, not necessarily the server side anymore, because server side you have firewall, you have Palo Alto, a lot of things, but a lot of attack happening right now at client side in the mobile devices. I see there's another question, future GPU. Jeff, can you move on to the next one? Yeah, so this is, as I mentioned, all of our VNG game studio, which is our #1 revenue stream now, using this, stable diffusion platform that fine-tuned by GreenNode AI Lab team. So you can see a different variety of image dimension and step, things like that. And then they create image. Previously, they need to spend a lot of time designer just to do these things, right? And by scale is a lot of time. But now for this, we process like tens of thousands of images during the first 3 months of launch, and even more now. So Jeff, you want to address the question about the parallel file or something? The question from the attendee, the audience?
Yeah, I think I'll address the infra specific questions later on. I think there was one question that our organizer is moderating, which is your GPU expansion plans. I don't know whether you want to cover it later or right now.
Okay, let me touch about this paper and I go to that. So as you see on the screen, our AI lab team, they also have the skill sets to do the large language model, foundational training or fine tuning. So in case your enterprises have a need for engineering resources to do this kind of task, we're also able to provide you not just the bare metal GPU. So that's, and now back to your question, Jeff. So our GPU expansion plan. So right now, our cluster of 1,024 GPU in Bangkok, Thailand, almost sold out. We only have few machines left, but then our next expansion plan is to expand the current cluster to 2,000 GPU. So, and as you may see in the next slide, we not only have data center, operating the GPU cloud in Thailand, but also planning to go to Malaysia or even Indonesia in the region. So we will try to be just the provider in this region, Southeast Asia and APAC.
And
yeah, so I hope that addressed the question.
Yeah, I think this is a question from me, right? Because I think when we first engaged, was it late last year? It was very clear to our team that the customer set that you wanted to pursue are, as you said, people from the enterprise, digital native businesses with perhaps small teams, but maybe a reasonable amount of funding. So I think this is very, very different from the initial days of AI infrastructure, where a lot of the building and design considerations came from HPC. So, in areas where it was from a place where downtime and getting a bit of a user acceptance on low performance or system going down was acceptable. So I just wanted to hear if hear from you if your tenants are demanding like the enterprise, or they're quite tolerant if they can wait for a little while for the resource to come up.
Yeah, so the spectrum of our current plan is both startups and enterprise, right? So actually, one of our first clients actually coming from the US, right? So in that part of the world, they have hyperscaler, they have providers like Huawei, Lambda Lab, Run4.io. So my client actually existing customer of those vendors, right? So the reason why they came to us very simple. So at that time, hyperscaler like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud is very expensive. That's number one. Number two, from the architecture point of view, they still use the virtualization layer because they already invested so much into the traditional cloud, right? Now for the GPU, if you use the virtualization hypervisor layer, it's gonna impact the performance of the GPU, which is the most expensive component. So that's the hyperscaler. The other smaller players, they do have some GPU, but then they want those startups to commit 2 years, 3 years. I mean, nobody knows when this Gen AI, I mean, it's still evolving, right? So we need to prove the ROI first in order to commit that long time. So at that time, we have the H100 GPU, we have a super port. So that's why they came to us. And even now, right, they're still using, I mean, expanding. So from architecture point of view, we follow Nvidia architecture in that we don't have any hypervisor layer at all. So it is bare metal plus Kubernetes to make sure that the performance of the GPU is maximized, right? So pricing strategy, payment terms, I mean, very friendly to startup, and then architecture is to maximize the GPU performance. So that for startup. Now back to the question, another spectrum of our client is big enterprise, right? From APAC region, from Europe, even from Europe. So they're very demanding. In that, they have very high requirement from security to high availability, storage. We need to prove to them whether it support VLAN tapping or not. A lot of those details, right? So yeah, I hope that addressed the question.
It does, Tung. I think I saw one more question coming in for you, mostly around the your expansion plans. Is it on H200, the GB architecture, and with the high power requirements? The question was really we're considering liquid cooling for the new cluster.
Yeah, sure. So it's coming up from our prospect and client as well. So to answer that, the short-term expansion plan, we still focus on H100 where we see the majority of the demand, right? Now for H200 and GB200, we see some demand in this region, not a lot, and then couple that with the data center supply is not very ready yet, right? For that very high power rack and require very special cooling, liquid cooling. So for short term, we're not gonna invest in the H100 or GB yet. Maybe next year, where we see number one demand, number two the data center readiness in this region.
Right. I think I have one question that came finally to VAST. Yeah, so I'm just trying to read out from here. So it was mentioned that VAST support NFS. How does this compare to parallel file systems that have been around for decades, right? So I think this was one of the early questions that your team actually asked as well, right? Because I think when we think about NFS, I think it was created about 40 years ago, when I last checked. But I think in VAST we think of NFS as really just simply a protocol, right? And what we did was to really apply software enhancements on this protocol. And we were lucky that advancements in flash technology and VMA over Fabric actually really did happen in the last few years. And because of that, we were able to build an enterprise NAS solution at the exabyte scale, right, with the optimal amount of performance needed for AI. I think one of the biggest proof point around this was VAST being the first enterprise NAS provider that achieved the Nvidia SuperPort certification. So this really exceeded all their performance metrics required in a typical AI testing scenario. So I think when this question came from a parallel file systems point of view. So typically we see customers when they move to VAST from traditional parallel file systems, they typically do so because the requirements as what Tung described, right, really became a lot more demanding. The existing way for them to manage unpredictable downtime, overheads, and really just managing a parallel file system just became too much. And if you look at GreenNode scale, they have 1,000 GPUs today, going into the mid thousands and five figures in future, maybe. A lot of the overheads actually come from managing the specialized drivers needed to be installed on the GPU host. So, you actually need some of these drivers to access proprietary parallel file systems protocols, right, or other non-standard industry standard protocols like NFS. So what this also means is that in some of the testing, we've had customers actually found that the GPU host will actually consume a reasonable amount of CPU memory cycles, even when delivering the most basic data services. So a very, very different world from science experiments that we see in HPC. I think as Tung has shared, based on the tenant demand that is coming, the people actually using your resources are innovating for real, doing AI for real, and they require the resources to be made available to them very, very quickly, regardless of which geography and which location they are.
Yeah, so I think traditionally we started from CPU, right? Now with this Gen AI, I think it's going to be a trend of moving the workload or even the investment from CPU-based server to GPU-based server. So that's number one. Number two, back to your point, we also seeing the upstick in inquiry about DPU, right? Which is how you can leverage the Bluefield technology from Nvidia, in order to offload some of the tasks from CPU, right? And also in order to ensure the zero trust or multi-tenancy there. So I think when we see the roadmap of VAST being able to do that in the near future, that's also one of the reasons why VAST is our go-to storage partner for the backend storage. So the demand we see not just the data set for training, but also for object storage, right? For long-term, archival and being able to manage everything from a single GUI and very easy for us, as you mentioned. When we scale, we don't want to have the silo of solution. So that's the really help with VAST GUI and support team as well.
Okay, I'm just looking at any final questions. Looks like we pretty much answered the 4 or 5 questions that was brought up in this short intimate fireside chat style webinar. And so really thank you everyone for joining and staying towards the end of this session. It was really an exciting dialogue, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you just scan the QR code on the screen, you'll get a link to the survey where you can indicate if you'd like to be contacted by either GreenNode or VAST. All feedback is always welcome, and Tung and I look forward to seeing you again. Tung, any last closing thoughts before we close this webinar?
No, thank you, thank you everyone for spending your time today. Joining with Jeff and myself, and we look forward to hearing from you and anything we could do on your journey for Gen AI. Let us know. Yeah.
Thank you, Tung. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.